Hello, folks. I'm here with a firearms impression. I haven't done one of these in a while. What prompted me to do this one is I got rid of one of my firearms that I wasn't using, and it was really being a waste at this point. So I decided to get something that I really liked and that I always wanted. And as you see, it is a CZ, and it is a CZ Shadow 2. Uh, as some of you may know, the CZ are becoming very popular, and they are also big in the competition circuit. And this CZ Shadow series has a very big reputation as one of the top firearms that competitors use. And now the CZ Shadow 2 is also being one of the top firearms in the competitive circuit as well. Okay, just to show you briefly what comes in the box here, what you see here is three magazines. Uh, Here's the third one. This gun is unloaded, so you don't have nothing to worry about there. And it also comes with its cleaning supplies here, and you get a couple different things here. You get these are shock buffers. They usually go inside the uh, on the guide rod and with the spring in front of it, so that when the slide reciprocates back, the slide won't take so much punishment, and especially when it's chambering another round. And it also aids in the positive lockup of the firearm as it goes in the battery. So when the round is chambered, you can fire this firearm properly. Uh, Also, it comes with some tools. The tools are basically for to work with your rear sight or also your front sight here. That's in CZ has graciously supplied that. But the most interesting part of all is the safety switches that they give you. They give you extra safety on here. I'm struggling with this. Sorry. This is an extended safety right here. As you see, it is ribbed right here, so you can get a better grip. If a better grip when you're trying to deactivate the safety. As you see on this particular model, the safeties right here are pretty much flat, and for some people it might not be a positive grip to deactivate and activate this particular safety. So sometimes if you might have a little bit of a hard time activating or deactivating that safety. So they give you a extra safety. So if you're not happy with that, or if you're using this in a competition, you can use this particular safety. It is ambidextrous, just like on this side, but unfortunately, with this safety, it's only for a right-handed shooter, meaning that his thumb would only be on for a right-handed shooter. But I'm pretty sure the CZ Custom Shop probably has something for left-handed shooters. Uh, and there is a way to break these down. I'll mention that a little bit later. And as usual, I'm using my cell phone, so I'm dealing with this with one-handed, and I'm sometimes pausing, so I'm sorry about that. Let me give you some specs on this firearm. As I mentioned, you have three magazines with a 17-round capacity. What's interesting about this magazine is I forgot to show earlier. On this magazine, it says 9mm on this side, and then on the other side it says 40 caliber. I don't know what that is about. Maybe you can use 40 caliber in this magazine, but and also use 9mm in this magazine. But maybe some of you can explain that to me. But it seemed kind of funny that you have a magazine like that. As you notice on this firearm, you see there's a fiber optic front sight, and there's a adjustable sight in the rear. They call this the Heijo adjustable sight. It's adjustable for height and it's drift windage. So you can really get a good sight picture on here. You can get a good sight picture. As you see, this the rear sight is blacked out, and it has serrations in the back to prevent glare if you're in the match or whatnot. It is a double action, single action pistol. And what I like about it is this is probably the smoothest double action pistol I've ever felt in my life. The poundage on this for its double action pull is 9 pounds. So that's it. That's what you see there. That's it. It's just so smooth and that easy to pull. Like on other firearms, the first pull on the double action pull is very horrendous. It's a 10-pound pull, but it does. The other firearms sometimes they don't have such a smooth action as this. Here is your single action pull, and it's just as easy and soft. It's roughly about a 3-pound pull on that. I do not have a Lyman gauge, so I did not measure it. I went by other information that I got, and that's how I came up with those figures. But those of you who have Lyman gauges, you can correct me on that and see how that works, and just tell me the exact pull. This firearm is a cold hammer forged barrel. It's one of their very good treatments in their barrel. Cold hammer forged barrel, which is great for accuracy. It has its polycoat finish on the outside, which is also good for durability and the strength of the gun, and as well as it's an all steel construction. As you see here, you see on aluminum grips. The aluminum grips are really great, have a nice feel. Also, you have this really swooped beaver tail right here. Really, so it helps you get your hand really up there so you can have a good purchase on the firearm. So it will aid in to prevent slide bite, and you want to be high up on that bore axis to have better accuracy. Also, CZ makes some of the best grips, meaning that the way how they contour their grip, so you can get a really good purchase to get up high and inside that beaver tail, and the beaver tail prevents slide bite. On the back is a very aggressive checkering. This is on the back strap, and it is the same for the front with 38 lines of checkering. Also, you see here there's your magazine release. This is an adjustable magazine release. It has 3 positions. Maybe some, from my understanding, you can go for one position here or there, depending on your thumb size. And if you look really good, that magazine release, it sits up very high from this angle. You can see that magazine release is very high. Also, on the trigger guard, there are very good serrations in the front. Some people use their forefingers to grab around for their particular hole for their forefingers right here. This dust cover over here is a really nice weight to it, but I don't think anybody's going to be using this as a rail for any lights or anything. Maybe they have a competition where they just use lights or whatnot, but I don't see anybody using a light on this. This is going to probably be strictly a competition gun, whether you're doing steel plates or whatnot. The weight on this firearm is 46.5 ounces, which means this is a heavy firearm for a 9mm pistol, and that weight helps you to be able to fire this without having to deal with a really harsh recoil. And not that the 9mm round is a hard kicking round, but it still adds for that extra comfort and to get you back on target. So, but in one group, the competition field, I believe it's IDPA. Uh, this gun is considered illegal in their rules because of the weight. It exceeds the weight limit for their type of competitive circuit. So it's not legal in IDPA, but in the other circuits, this firearm is legal. Uh, and this weight on this firearm helps you to get that really good balance. The overall dimensions of this, the overall length is going to be 8.53 inches, and the barrel length, like I said about the cold forge barrel, it is 4.89 inches. Okay, I broke this gun down. As you see here, you see the spring assembly, and you also see where the shock buffer is. Uh, as you see, as with the spring here, it goes right against the buffer here, so it helps and aids in positive lockup as well as when the slide is cycling during rapid fire. Um, and I'm going to break it down a little further, but I just wanted to show you that. Also, if you look at this rail here, of course, most of you know that CZs make those internal rails or rails that go in the inside of the frame as opposed to the outside of the frame, like most of your current firearms do. And this aids in to the proper cycling of the firearm as well as uh, to manage the recoil and help aid in accuracy. Just to show you some of the machining of this firearm, it's done very well. You don't see any burrs in here. And yes, they did send this firearm very greasy. It has a lot of oil all around it, but this is probably for packing purposes and so forth. This, if you look at the spring assembly, it's a nice spring assembly, and it is a guide rod, this full length guide rod that is a metal guide rod. Uh, on the SPO1, that is kind of like a polymer or plastic type guide rod, but I've always preferred these guide rods because they add a little weight, and for me personally, it adds for aids for making this firearm stable as when the slide comes back and forth during recoil. But I guess CZ know what they're doing with their SPO1, so apparently it's working. Now on the frame, you see right here on the frame, uh, basically when you're replacing this safety, you have to when you take this side of the safety off and you take the other side, you have to gingerly slide that piece over. You got to watch out for a spring that's, if I can view it, you're not going to be able to see it, but there's a spring over here and there's another spring over here. And what you have to do, you have to be very careful when you take that apart to install this piece right here. You're going to have to really do some holding down because you don't want those springs to fall apart, and then you're going to really have to have a gunsmith. But there is a video that I did find that shows you how to uh, re- how to replace this, just to put this on. And that's one of the good things that CZ does. They do give you like extra type safeties in case you don't like their safety, or whether you want to change your decocker to something like this, which is more like a 1911 style. Okay, I got it finally back together. What I wanted to also show you is the reset. The reset is unbelievably short. It's a very good short reset. I haven't seen a the only shorter reset trigger I think out there is probably from the SIG on the SIG TAC Ops, but the reset is like this. Sorry, my finger may be in the way, but the reset is pretty much like this. And you hear that click, that's the reset. Has a very, very short reset. And then next thing you know, you just pull. Uh, like I said, I don't have a line engaged, but that trigger is so smooth, it's ridiculous. And it's just, and it kind of feels like the CZ97B that I have. because the trigger is so smooth. And but this reset is a little bit shorter, and they're about the same way as far as the trigger being smooth. And both of those firearms are really good. It's something about what CZ does with their triggers on here, and that's what they're known for. They're known for very smooth triggers, very accurate pistols, and innovative design when it comes to uh, the slides, where the slide is has the inverted slide rail. All in all, I'm happy with this firearm. I'm really very pleased with it. It's something that I've always wanted. And like was saying earlier, I was streamlining some of my collection, and you can't go wrong with a CZ. This is pretty much, I would say, more or less on the higher end, but you could still purchase CZs that are close to half this price, and the quality is still the same, whether it's maybe their firearms that's probably around $500 MSRP, and you could still find those cheaper, like maybe like 490, and on up to this. This is MSRP was roughly 13, and I got it way cheaper than that. So you just have to do some shopping around. The SPO ones and the Shadow 2s, they're very hard to find, some of them. Uh, like, I just bumped into this one. This one is in the black with the black grip. They have the one with the one that I see mostly on YouTube and everywhere. They have the one that's blue. But there is another one, the third one, that is two-tone. It has a black slide with like a urban gray, just like on the P09 urban gray. It kind of has a blend like that. I have not found one of those, and that's what I was looking for, but it didn't seem like it was available, so I picked up this one, and that's what I went with. Right now, I'd like to give a shout out to a few people that are in the gun community. They're really nice people. I'm proud to call them friends, and they're really good people. On Wednesday nights on 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, uh, Central Time should be roughly 7 o'clock. Uh, there's the three guys gun chat, and it has Big Johnson Guns and Gear. You should subscribe to his channel. He really knows a lot about CZs, more than I can ever tell you, and he's done some really good reviews and gear reviews, as well as the other gentleman is 1776 or Bust Guns and Gear, and all things related. That's a long title for a name, but you need to either subscribe to those two gentlemen, as well as KSGunguy 01. He also does tabletop reviews. Also, he will take these firearms at the range. And like I said, on Wednesday nights, they have a chat. And if you subscribe to all three of those guys, I will try to uh, put a link to their YouTube channels. And just, we talk about a lot of different things regarding guns in general, the laws, how they change, the availability of guns, anything that has to do with firearms in the firearm industry. Another guy I would like to give a shout out to is the Carbine Cowboy. The Carbine Cowboy, his channel is called Montana Mountain Men. I'll leave a link there. He is a really good guy. You just really got to watch his videos because you get to see the beauty of Montana. I'm a city guy, but I can really appreciate watching his videos because he can give you a lot of information on history of firearms, history of M1 grenades, all other type of firearms. But he's a good guy to check out. He'll even show you give you he's very informative. So whether it become he really gets in depth when it comes to uh, the rounds, rifle rounds, or the history of handguns. But I really want to give a shout out to those four gentlemen, and hopefully you'll subscribe to their channel. I'll try to put a link down on my page so you can go to these gentlemen's uh, YouTube channel. And for now, I'm just going to leave it as happy shooting. Take care, folks.